Luka Doncic and LeBron James. When you mention the Los Angeles Lakers, those two names are the first thought on every single person's mind. And now with the addition of DeAndre Ayton and even Marcus Smart, there are a lot of new faces on the Lakers. But there is one guy who is not a new face. However, with the improvements he made last season, he's certainly a new player. And I think the NBA needs to be reminded just how good Austin Reaves truly is.
Spin, Reaves, behind the back!
22 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds while shooting 47% from the field, 39% from 3, and 90% from the line. Those were Austin Reaves' numbers over the last 50 games of the regular season. And after taking a leap in his third season, he went to a completely different level in year 4. And when you look at the improvements he made, my question is, what's stopping Austin Reaves from taking another leap and solidifying himself as not just a good player, but a very, very good player? Because I think it's easy to forget that was only Reaves' 4th season in the league. And whilst people love to point to age as the key for development, just because a player was drafted later doesn't mean they enter the league as a finished product. Evident by the fact Reaves has improved every single season of his career. We saw the same thing with Jalen Brunson, who didn't make his first All-Star team until he was 27 years old. And I think this is still the biggest X factor for this Lakers team. We can talk about Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton, who could also be a massive X factor. But if Reaves can take another leap, we've seen just how effective Luka can be alongside another scoring guard. And I know it seems blasphemous to even compare Reaves to a guy like Kyrie, and I'm not doing that, but what I will say is, however good you think Reaves is, he was probably better at times during last season. I mean, look no further than how he performed without LeBron this season. As you can see, courtesy of Data Baller, when LeBron was off the floor, Reaves just went to a different level. As a scorer, as a playmaker, as a number one option, he thrived. And it wasn't just in the minutes LeBron was on the bench, it was even when LeBron was completely out of the lineup. Because in 9 games in which LeBron didn't play, Reaves averaged 28 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. Those are Luka Doncic level numbers. And no, we don't need a first take segment about if LeBron is holding back players, if LeBron is responsible for Reaves not being a superstar. This is just the reality of the NBA. When you get more opportunity as someone as talented as Austin Reaves, you can showcase levels of play that people just don't think you're capable of. I mean, those performances included a 37-point game against Denver, 30 points against the Spurs, multiple high 20-point games, and he also had 45 points against the Indiana Pacers. Yes, that same team that was in the NBA Finals, he dropped 45 on them with no LeBron or Luka on the team. Just watch him here with his first bucket of the game. Nembhard is pressing him at near half court. Reaves gives it up to Finney-Smith, who sets a screen on Nembhard, and watch Reaves' awareness of angles, cutting inside of Mathurin to avoid the contest and reversing it in. The next play, Nembhard still won't give him any space. And this time Reaves not only draws the foul, but casually drops it in as well.
Reaves is fouled and hits a three.
Or how about again against Nembhard? And watch here as Reaves drives, he spins, then avoids the hands of Siakam before the up and under into a step through and the finish. And at this point, it would have been an understatement to say Reaves was in his bag. I mean, he was acting different.
Reaves drills a three.
That is a glimpse of what Austin Reaves can do against a guy who at times made Shai Gilgeous-Alexander look human. Reaves did all of that in just the first quarter, and it was the same for the rest of the game. Because honestly, this was a scoring performance on par with the kind of performances you see from superstars. This is what you see from Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson. Tough shot making, tough defense, not much help around him, but just finding a way to consistently make shots that normal players can't make. And when you can have those kind of performances consistently as the number one option on your team, there has to be a level of fear from the rest of the NBA when you pair that with two guys who have performances like that all the time. Now I know what you guys are thinking. We saw all three players playing together, and whilst it looked incredible at times, we also saw the playoffs where Reaves in particular struggled. And that is true, with Reaves dropping in production during the playoffs and having problems dealing with the combination of length from the Wolves defense and also maybe a lack of touches and control on offense. Well, this is why I said Austin Reaves is the X factor. Because I still believe if you are capable of those kind of performances against Andrew Nembhard with no Luka Doncic or LeBron James on the floor, the Lakers offense should just simply be unstoppable when all three are on the floor. And it might not be him averaging 30 points, but even the 21 to 22 points per game, if he can be more efficient, if he can be more effective, if he can do it when LeBron and or Luka go to the bench, that's what could elevate this team. And I know this is such a cliche thing, but one thing that gives me more confidence about Reaves after those playoffs is what he said. I didn't have the series that I wanted to have. You can point the finger at me. I wish I could have done more. I didn't. I struggled. You live and you learn, and I guarantee that I'll get back to work this offseason and be better. Very simple, but this always just gives you confidence. Someone taking accountability, someone recognizing that they weren't good enough. He didn't talk about the great regular season he had. He focused on the poor playoffs he had and how he was going to rectify that going into next season. And with the improvements we've seen him consistently make, we shouldn't be doubting that he is going to add to his game. And he's also now played 25 playoff games, and across those 25 games, he has very respectable shooting splits. There are just going to be series when you are a jump shot heavy guy in a role that is not the number one or number two option where you struggle. That is simple. There are number one or number two options that struggle in a jump shot heavy role regardless of if your touches are limited. But when you don't have that same security in your role, it can make series like that just that much more volatile. Now, we also need to address the elephant in the room. All of this is great, but what about the defense? Honestly, that's a great question, and this is where it can be hard to compare Reaves and Luka in the backcourt to Kyrie and Luka, because whilst I think Reaves and Kyrie are pretty similar defensively, it was who was around those guys that made it work. The length of Derek Jones Jr. and PJ Washington, the shot blocking of Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. The positive is this shows that it can work when you have the right personnel, and last year the Lakers were pretty much the same defensively with Reaves on the floor versus off the floor, whilst being way better offensively, as you'd probably expect. But the negative is the Lakers don't really have that personnel that the Mavs had last year. They will be relying on DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, even Rui, Jared Vanderbilt, and maybe Edu Thiero, which obviously let's not put those kind of expectations on him just yet, but there are so many question marks over this Lakers defense. There is potential there, but they are going to need a lot of things to click. But if they can get the defense to be at least competent with the offensive skill set that Reaves has alongside Luka and LeBron, that is what makes the upside of this Lakers team tantalizing. But it's going to need a lot of work on the defensive end of the floor.